Happy Thursday, everybody. Good afternoon. I was combining the two at the same time. It is May, y'all. We are so excited. We're talking all things mental health, all things wellness. And so we're really excited. We want you to go ahead and invite somebody, share this message out before we jump into our chat for today. Thank you so much for being with us and for sharing this lunch break time with us. Whether you're watching us live or you're watching us later on, we appreciate you for clicking on this video. Please, again, go ahead. We want to uplift this conversation, y'all. It is so important. We're talking about mental health. And when I tell you now more than ever, we have to have these conversations, it is so true. People need the information, and we want to make sure they have it. So, with us, we have Dr. Tiffany Ross in the house, and she has a powerful story, but also doing powerful work with women all over. And you're going to hear from her. So, we're really excited to have her. Thank you so much, Dr. Tiffany, for being with us and for gracing us with your presence today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Let's jump into it. So I want to formally introduce Dr. Tiffany and read some of the highlights of her bio and her work and the things that she's been doing. You guys are in for a treat. So I do want you to stay until the end. If you are watching us, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, stay until the end. And again, chat with us, engage with us. We want to hear from you throughout the conversation. So, Dr. Tiffany, she's a marriage and family therapist, coach, and consultant of the owner, excuse me, of Old to New Creations LLC. Dr. Tiffany, she's been coaching and consulting where she offers mental health resources for individuals and businesses with a specialization in relational abuse support for women. How powerful is that? She brings over 15 years of experience working in the social science field. She has a doctorate of philosophy and higher education and administration from the William Carey University with a concentration in research and technology, and has also received a certification in women's entrepreneurship from Cornell University. She has served various populations, including children, adolescents, substance abuse, disability studies, and women's health. She's married to her husband, Vaughn, for almost 12 years, an amazing mother of four boys, and recently welcomed their first grandbaby, Love. I love that so much. Does not look like a grandma at all. Her life's mission, yes, girl, you look good. Her life's mission is to leave a legacy of advocating for individuals to become mentally, physically, and emotionally well, and to pursue what they were sent to do on earth. That is powerful, Dr. Tiffany. I mean, anything I left out, but absolutely powerful.
Thank you so much. No, I think you hit it nail on the head.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Let's jump into it. What is the story behind your company and what you do? You are really advocate and supporting women and their mental health. Tell us why. Where did that stem from?
I think I have to be a little transparent here. It really stemmed from my own personal story. As one of the foundations of our business is that I married. I was intentional on marrying my personal experience with my professional experience, and so I like to always
Oh,
start off with my story, which I'm so glad that you asked that, of being a sexual abuse survivor. I was sexually abused first time at the age
wow.
of 12, and then again at the age of
Hmm.
15. And then from there, the other two times were during my adult years. And from that, I didn't realize how, because I didn't know. Like I came from a small town where things like that were really normalized. Let's just being honest. They were really normalized. I grew up in a very small town. I was one of the first in my family to even go on and get a bachelor's degree in college. And so things like that were just normalized there. So people had trauma passed down and had family members that had gone through very similar situations, but no one was talking about what happened. No one said anything about what happened. It was just like this secret. And so I went through life really feeling like what was going on with me was just a secret, something I was supposed to keep to myself. But I literally felt like I was had the expression I use is that it was a silent scream. Like I was crying out for help. So by the age of 15, I was pregnant with my first son. And it was just like people just kinda
Wow.
kept going. No one stopped to ask what happened, what's wrong, are you okay? Like, no one stopped to ask because people were dealing with their own traumas, but, fast forward to 2 years later,
Mm.
ended up pregnant with my second son, dropping out of college, and just really lost. I just literally felt lost. Like, I I say this to people, especially with my clients, is I literally felt like I was on self-destruct mode. So I went into partying and drinking and,
Mm.
doing all the things that you do when you've dealt with trauma because you want to escape, right? That's what happens with trauma. Like you want to escape, you want to forget. You're not sure how to make sense of what's going on in your life. And so that's what I did for a long time. And until I decided in 2000 and I think it was around 2002 that I just was like, this is enough. Like I have got to give my children something better than what I had. And I didn't have a terrible life growing up, but I didn't have the best life either. And so I just kind of made up my mind at the age of 18, a teen mom with two children under the age of 2, that I have got to do something different. And so I went off to college, and it was there that my life just really started to turn around and change. And it was also there that I was introduced to therapy that just kind of propelled my life into where I am today. And so my business is focused off of that, just helping people not, especially people that have gone through very similar circumstances or come from that era where, or families where you just don't talk about the certain things like that, or you don't know how, you're not given the tools, you don't have the access to certain mental health resources to be able to help work through some of those things. So I wanted to be able to be that bridge from for people who have dealt with these things and helping them get to their next steps. And so out of that, Ulta New Creations was born. It's literally based off the scripture, Second Corinthians 5:17, that if any man be in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things are gone, and behold, all things are become new. Because that's what therapy does. It helps us work through the old stuff so that we can come out of that a new person.
I gotta stop and pause because that was so profound. And you took us through your entire life journey with sound bites, but yet the sound bites were so strong. And just your transparency and your willingness to talk about your story, what you went through. I think just that, I want to thank you for doing that because a lot of people, they die and they never say anything.
Yeah, yeah,
They never say anything. And they're suffering. They're silently suffering. They don't know how to even say it. Some of them have tried to cope with it, self-medicate, self-cope, never gone to therapy, been just living with trauma, and it's been so normalized. And you said something, Dr. Tiffany, that really stood out to me. A lot of things, but one of the sound bites was that you grew up in a little village, a small town, and it was normalized. Sexual abuse was normalized in that town. And so, a lot of people were just walking around in dysfunction,
yeah,
not knowing that they were dysfunctional because it was so normal.
yeah,
And to be in that culture, um, and to grow up in that environment, you were subjected to just things that you should have never experienced as a child, as a teenager, as an adult. But yet you have found a way to take back your personal power and tell your story from a place of empowerment. That is worth just acknowledging and honoring. And I just want to honor you in this moment for being able to do that and for doing that for so many women.
thank you so much, Shaniqua. I appreciate that. It's not been easy. That has easy, and you know that, in the work that you do, that that's not it's not an easy process. It's not an easy
Mm.
process. And just bearing your soul before people, it's just not an easy process. And so thank you for that. To God be the glory.
Yes, thank you, thank you. You are definitely such a light, and I appreciate you. So let's just dig a little into that. We talked about the silent scream, and if you were to just, for those that might be connecting to what we're saying right now, or may know somebody and they're connecting to what we're saying based on either their personal experience, if you can describe what is that silent scream, what does it look like, and what happens to a person, psychologically when that silent scream is going on, just for awareness purposes.
Yeah, yeah. I can talk about it from my own personal experience. For me, it was
Mhm.
feeling the heartbreak and
Mm,
pain of the abandonment and rejection, and feeling misused and abused, but not having a
mm,
safe space where you can
mhm.
go and talk about how you feel, or someone to be aware enough to even ask, how you're doing. And so that silent scream for me was a lot of acting out behavior. So it
Yeah,
was, a lot of, I didn't do a lot of, I didn't do drugs, because I had a god brother who was like, "No, you can't do that. Like, women don't do that."
right.
So
Yeah,
he was, thank
no,
God for him being kind of that intervention. But I did drink.
yeah,
I drunk and partied and just lived a life that was just really on edge, if I could say. It was just on edge. And
mm,
really it was just a cry for help. Like, it was just a silent cry for help. Because if someone had stopped and said, "How are you?" I think I probably would have exploded.
mm. Ooh, that's so powerful. That was really powerful because I think that silent scream you described, right? It's that wanting, you want to say something, you want help. It's not like you don't want the help, right? You want it, but where's the access? Where's the support system? Where are the people to actually realize that there's something else happening, and are you okay?
Yeah.
What's going on? Just that one sentence. Sometimes we underestimate what help looks like, but just that one sentence, asking someone, "Are you okay?" Checking in with people, even if they seem to be strong, just asking that question could really help someone just feel heard and seen. And that's sort of what it sounds like you were looking for at that time, Dr. Tiffany.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as I was so defensive and angry, because that's just
Mm,
one of the side effects of trauma too. It's just not knowing how to express your feelings, or if you've not been taught that sometimes a cry for help can come out as anger and defensiveness. And that was me.
yeah. I thought about something in that moment when you mentioned that, Dr. Tiffany. It was a round circle discussion that I had with some of my social workers. And we were talking about just the way kids express themselves. And um, we talked about, the idea of the suppression of expression that many young people experience, specifically in the realm of schools, where they're told you can't yell, or you can't do this. And I remember a specific teacher in our little discussion saying, "I would rather you yell because at least I know that you're alive."
Oh, wow.
I I thought that was powerful because even anger, it's a language.
Yeah.
Acting out is a language. It's telling you something that is wrong, if something is happening, and sometimes we really do miss it, because we're not either trained to see it, or we've normalized, Dr. Tiffany, dysfunction.
Yeah.
And I think that communities of color are really, dealing with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And then the intergenerational trauma. And the generational trauma is one thing, and then the intergenerational trauma, which is trauma that's
Mm,
just passed down from your grandparents, or the people before you, is a real thing, especially for communities of color.
absolutely. Tell us how your organization is helping with all these things that we're talking about, the trauma, the passed down trauma through generations, the abuse, and all the things that you have not just firsthand encountered, but are helping others rise through. How is your organization helping with this?
I think the biggest part of what we do is really destigmatizing getting help. Because I think
Awesome.
some people just don't know, what to do. Like, they know there's something wrong, but even, like, things like this podcast and, doing interviews like this that will help people be able to give language to what's going on with them, is one thing
Mm,
that we do. It's a big part of what we do in helping destigmatize, seeking help, and also, giving language to what is going on with you and different things that has happened throughout your life, and also showing, that you don't have to stay there. Like, there is a way out. There a way out is possible. You don't have to stay stuck in some of those cycles. And so that,
yes.
through our consulting business and in partnerships with things like this, and also in offering coaching services for people who have gone through that process of working with a therapist, but they're looking for a little bit more hands-on. And, okay, what do I do now that I've worked through some of this trauma, but I'm still not reaching my full potential? How can I do that? What are some other things that I can do? And so we offer, different tools, like teaching them how to set boundaries and teaching them how to communicate, because and teaching them how to truly walk in their identity and what they were created to do, are some things that we do to help.
Yes. Yeah. Can you expound on that, Dr. Tiffany? Um, if you were helping and you gave us some techniques, set boundaries, people may not even, what is a boundary? Why do I need them? How do I even set it? Right? If someone needs to, if you can explain that to us, boundaries being one of the techniques, and then the communication part, speaking up for yourself, I think, which is huge, especially when you've gone through trauma, because we talked about this too. Really, that sense of powerlessness that a person
Mhm.
feels or experiences when something has happened to them, whether it's abuse, or or just being taken advantage of. There tends to be that sense of powerlessness, and then it tends to show up again and again in relationship, which is why you mentioned the boundaries being a technique and the communication, speaking up for themselves. Can you expound on that for us, for the listeners, in terms of how you would advise a client?
Absolutely. I think you made a really good point about that powerlessness, because when life has just kind of happened to you, you kind of feel like life is going to continue to happen to you, and that you don't have a say so, you don't have a part. And so in some aspects you begin to lose your voice, or give that part of you away for other people to begin to make decisions about your life. And so what we teach with our boundaries, and you're absolutely right, a lot of people do not know what boundaries are. They're like, boundaries? As we think about that, talking about, the land and the sea ending, or something like that. So we think about that when we're talking about boundaries, but we don't think about that in our personal lives and what that looks like. And it actually is, pretty much the same concept. That, like, boundaries is literally, the way I explain to my clients, is you understanding who you are, where you're going, what you need, what you want, what you desire, and you're putting that at the forefront of decisions that you make. And so out
Mm,
of that, you're creating, this expectation of how you want other people to treat you and how you
yeah.
want to treat yourself. So boundaries is not about keeping people out, because that's what we think about when we think about boundaries. It's not about keeping other people out.
Say that one more time, Dr. Tiffany.
It's not. Boundaries is not about keeping other people out. Boundaries is
Mhm.
about you knowing where you stop, or where someone else stops in your life, and where they should start. So it's not more like a guideline than it is actually, this guard that we put up in our life. Because if you have guards in your life, then that's a whole nother issue. That's not a boundary. That's you being guarded, or that's you
That's
needing to work through that.
that's good, Dr. Tiffany. The doctor has spoken. So if you are putting up guards, y'all, that is not a boundary, right? That might be a coping or or defense mechanism that you have begun to utilize to keep yourself from being hurt.
Yeah.
Um, or keep yourself. But the thing about guards is it doesn't allow you to be your full authentic self
Yes.
because there's still things that you're not dealing with, that you're still holding on to, or you haven't worked through. Either you don't know how to work through it, or you don't want to work through it, or whatever is going on, or you maybe not even realize you need to work through it. So guards are not the same. Then you have the boundaries, and I love that Dr. Tiffany did say that, because that is something so important and powerful. Boundaries don't mean that I'm keeping you out, it means I want you to stay in.
Yeah.
But this is where we draw the line so that you're healthy, I'm healthy, and that we're having a healthy relationship. Can you tell us more about the communication part and just being able to have a voice in relationship? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of that is knowing when you need to say no, and
Yeah.
adhering to that, because that no is a boundary, but also it's a point of communication. Like I grew up, of course, I'm African American, and so I
Mhm.
grew up um in the era where children really didn't have much say, that we didn't have a whole lot of say so. It was like, you do what I said because I said. There was not a lot of
Right.
explanation, that took
Mhm.
place. And so now on the other side of that with my children, um, sometimes I feel like I need to overly explain to make up for that. And
Yeah.
we carry that sometimes in our relationships where we feel like we need to over explain to justify the decision that I made or how I feel about
Mhm.
something. But in as an adult in relationships and setting boundaries with other people, you don't need to explain. Like, this is something that I'm doing because this is what I need, and I don't really need anyone else to approve of it. And so making that switch between, okay, and now this is what happened to me as a child, but I don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to continue to function like
Mhm.
I did when I was 13 or 10 or whatever happened to you then. You're like, now you're an adult and you get to choose how you want your life to look. And it's absolutely okay for you to say no. And it's okay for you to not explain when you don't need to explain. Like, it's okay. It's absolutely
Mhm.
okay.
So powerful. So powerful. You can take back your personal power, and you have power over your own destiny. You don't have to allow life to keep happening to you. But a lot of people are really living their lives allowing life to happen to them and not for them. And I think that's so powerful that you're even telling. So some people just need to hear that.
Yeah.
Some people have never heard that before. So if life has told them that things are always happening to you, or things are outside of your control, or you don't have the power to choose, then that's the way you're essentially your worldview will be shaped based on that. But this is why your coaching, Dr. Tiffany, is so essential, because you're helping people to break the barriers that exist in their mind that they don't have a choice, when in fact they are much more powerful than anything they have gone through. So I think that, thank you so much for that, for those words of wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for pointing that out. And I love that what you said just then. It's like you're much more powerful. And I think if we understood the power that we had, like I was
Mm,
actually just here doing a teaching a couple weeks ago, last week, it might have been just last week. And one thing that I say is that everything about our life have already been predestined. And
yeah.
we were our identity, what happens with trauma and things that happen to us, life, when life just happens, it
Mhm.
begins to reshape how we
Mhm.
view ourselves. But that's not necessarily who you were in the beginning. Like, who you were created to be, like, you were already created to be that. And so the power in that is
Mhm.
learning how to go back in who you were originally created to be and be that person, not the trauma you, and not the abuse you, or not whatever you've gone through you, but the person that God out He originally intended you to be.
So powerful. So powerful. There's this thing that comes to my mind, and I hope it's in step with what we're saying. But I remember a few months ago, my daughter had a daughter father dance, and I just went to the dance, um, just to kind of spy on her. But I was there, and I remember seeing all these beautiful little baby girls, toddlers, preschoolers, so free, so happy. and just in a place where they were their authentic selves.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I kind of got a little emotional because I was like, oh man, I never want these kids to go through trauma. I never want them to know
Mm.
what it means to be abused. And I kind of had an emotional moment. I'm like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like on the side, like a little emotional moment, tearing up. I'm like, please, Lord, protect these babies.
Yes.
Don't let them ever know what it feels, a heartbreak and trauma and abuse feels like. And that's really, essentially what I think you were saying, Dr. Tiffany, is
Mhm.
before the abuse, before the trauma, there was a you that existed that still is you, but we get so consumed and swallowed by trauma. Trauma really does freeze you.
Mhm.
And by it really it keeps you stuck based on whatever that traumatic incident was in your life. And so it essentially it freezes you to that period of time. And so you almost are enslaved to a specific time that or a thing that happened to you, but it's not you.
No,
It's not you,
no.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that is what your message is, Dr. Tiffany.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. We're winding up, but this is so good. I'm all fired up. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I could go for like another hour, but I know time is not on our side right now. I do want to acknowledge a few of our listeners. Yolanda, thank you for being with us. Jerica, thank you. Whitney, thank you for being with us. And all the other people that may not be commented, but you're listening to the content and you're soaking it up. Thank you so much. Dr. Tiffany, we do want your advice again. For those that are on their journey to healing and excuse me, maybe they haven't started or perhaps they're just on that journey and they need some type of, I guess, encouragement. What would you say to those individuals? Either they've started on their healing journey, or they haven't started and they just don't know where to start. What are some words of advice or wisdom that you can give to those people?
Yeah, I think the very first thing is to not ignore how you feel. Like,
Mm,
probably done that for a long time, and it's probably worked up until a certain point. But now
yes.
I believe that when people connect with things like this, it's because something inside of you is saying that what has been can no longer be. And so don't
Yes.
ignore that part of you. And whatever you need to do to connect with someone to take you to your next steps or to even just get you um, to where you're trying to go, connect with that. Like, because you're worth it. Like, you're worth not staying stuck and not staying stagnant and still dealing with cycles of abuse or toxic relationships or
Mm,
whatever is going on, whatever cycle. Like, you're worth it. And that you that we've been talking about the whole time, that you were originally created to be, like, you're worth finding who that person is so that you can begin to create, take back your power and to create the life
yes.
that you know that you want. Like, you're not content there, so you don't have to stay there. There is a way out, and you're worth it.
There is a way out. That right there, that part, there is a way out. There is a way out. Regardless of what you have gone through, what you are going through, what you are facing, there is an escape. There is a way out. You don't have to stay there. You don't. There is help. There are amazing people like Dr. Tiffany and others that are helping people really come out of these things. And there's so much that lies with inside of us that we haven't discovered when we're dealing with trauma, and trauma essentially keeps us stuck. We don't get to discover the amazing things about us, the talents, the gifts, the abilities, the things that we have dreamed of doing. We can still do it.
Yeah.
It's not too late.
Yeah.
It's not too late. And you are worth it.
Yes.
Absolutely. So powerful. So powerful. Megan says, yes, Dr. Tiffany is awesome. Yes, she is, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you. Oh my God, for your story. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for your life.
Thank,
Thank you for fighting and for helping others fight. That's so
thank
powerful.
you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. That touched me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And we appreciate all of you. Yes, Lashana, you are enough. I love the love. I love the encouragement that's happening right now. We appreciate all of you for watching. This is real life stuff. People are going through these things
Mhm.
every day, and we want to make sure that we are doing our part and helping people overcome what's been happening and what's happened to them in life. It is Mental Health Month. Y'all, do me a favor, check on somebody today, ask them how they're doing. I don't care how strong they look, pull them to the side. How are you? What's going on? And especially if you are a parent, check in with your babies, with your kids. I don't care if they're 45, 55, check in with your kids.
Yes,
Ask them, how are they doing?
yes.
Makes a big, big, big difference. And I'm sorry, lastly, Dr. Tiffany, if someone wants your your services, how can they get in touch with you and reach you?
You can reach me on any platform. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, Facebook at Dr. Tiffany Ross, or you can reach me by contacting me on my website, drtiffanyross.com. Or and just message me. Just send me a message and saying, "Hey, I saw you on the show, and I just would like to learn more about how I can connect with you." Or if you just need some resources, like that's a part of what we do too, is just providing those resources for those who are looking for their next steps.
Amazing, amazing. So look, y'all I got a resource right here, Dr. Tiffany Ross. She works with adults, children as well, or just adults?
Just adults, just adults.
Just
Mm.
adults. She works with adults, perfect. So if you need the children, if you need help with your kids, come to I Raise Girls and Boys. We're gonna love on them. We're gonna help them reach their full potential. We're gonna help them thrive through every trauma and anything they've gone through. If you are an adult, go to Dr. Tiffany. She is helping people rise from every type of circumstance and things that they have encountered. So please check her out at www.drtiffanyross.com. Thank you all so much. We are wrapping up. I don't want to leave, but we
I
have
know,
to.
I know. Is it okay if I acknowledge some of my people? I see some of my people on.
Yes,
I just want to
please go
acknowledge
for
them,
it.
Megan and Stephanie and LaShonda. Thank you guys so much. I love them so much. I just wanted to acknowledge them. I didn't want to leave without
You're
acknowledging them.
welcome. I love it. Thank you, LaShonda, Stephanie, and all the other people supporting right now. We appreciate you. And don't forget to share the message out to your networks as well so other people can hear this powerful message coming from Dr. Tiffany. Y'all, we are at time, but we had a powerful fireside chat. It went by too fast, but we're going to continue bringing this content to you every single week, talking about these matters of the heart, of the mind, of the soul, and we want you to be a part of it. It's designed for you. So stay tuned. This week, tomorrow, Friday, we will not be releasing a new episode of ATL Rise, but we will be replaying a very important episode. So make sure you are listening and you're subscribing. More importantly, to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Podbeam, iHeartRadio, whatever you choose to listen to. Don't forget to subscribe to ATL Rise. We will have an episode replay for you tomorrow, and we want you to be able to listen to it and be a part of it. Every Thursday at 12:30, we are talking all things wellness for the month of mental health. So don't forget to tune in on your lunch break or wherever you are to listen to the content and to support. Again, thank you, Dr. Tiffany, for gracing us with your presence. We appreciate you so much. You are now officially a part of the family.
Thank
So we
you.
have you back. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much to your wonderful team.
Thank you. Yeah, shout out to my team. You guys are great. I love them. They're amazing. They're the best team on this side of earth. So thank you all. Stay tuned. We will be back next week. If there's anything that we can do for you in the meantime, reach out to us. We have a plethora of resources, especially for parents and children. Your young person is going through something. You're a parent and you're going through something. Reach out, message us. We want to make sure we're there for you. Again, thank you all so much. We love you and we'll be back. We'll see you next week. Thank you all.